Hey, I actually forgot to mention something in this video, so I'm just putting this at the beginning. So I'm running that local SAP system here locally, and the port forwarding rules are here. And in the GUI, you can see that the way this connection works is here in this port. So to get the GUI, getting this working is outside the scope of this video, but here it is. It's running in this virtual machine on a Debian box. This port for the GUI to work. The SAP Java connector is here, RC destinations are here, and web business service pages are here. I just wanted to add that at the beginning of the video real quick. And that's all. So let me just move forward and we'll continue on and get this going. Okay. We're going to do some SAP GUI scripting with Jython. This is something I should have done, I don't know, maybe 16 years ago when I worked at AT&T. First thing, dropping stuff here off my computer desk. Let's get back to my, so let's do some video syncing, audio. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's how I sync audio with video when I composite my video capture and audio capture. You see it here. The two commands running. FFmpeg is capturing the video and capturing the audio here, and I have to sync them later to make this video. Anyway, so here we are. I'm going to clear this thing, and we're going to start working on this thing right now. So, for those who've been doing this scripting, you probably know about this window here. You can do JavaScript stuff here. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is normally this. So I want to talk about this first. We're going to jump ahead a little bit. For some companies, there's some corporate politics or security policy or whatever, and you can't get them to go change this setting in RZ11 to change it to true so that people can do automated scripting on the GUI. And if you can't get them to do that, let me first go to and show you. Let's see. And, right, so RZ11, and that password is now the default password for installing this demo system locally. So let's go here. Right, the current value is false, and maybe you can't get them to change it. And when you can't change it, then when you do stuff like this, user area, which is one of the things here, you'll get, and that's literally a string. It's supposed to be an object. So if I do application, see, you get this as an object, and that's what the scripting window is all about. The user area thing literally is a string. If I do that, you'll get just the first letter of that message, and it even has a .length. So I'm just proving to use a string. It's not the proper object because scripting is disabled. And the way you get around that, I'm going to show you right now. This right here, you can at least do scripting up to here. The scripting thing is disabled at the connection level, as it turns out. So if I do this, see it says true. I can go like this and say, well, I don't want it to be true. I want it to be false. How do I do that? It replies false. And let's remove this again and see, was I able to change it? It still says true because it's actually a read-only value, not a write-only, so you can't change it. However, it turns out there is a way to write to it. Now you see how this thing here is dimmed out record because you're not allowed to record on this session because it's disabled and you can't do it. But if you do this, that equal false. Do it, and then let's take this away. See, and it stayed false. It really is false. And I can remove this mscript object thing now. And do this, and it truly is false. And just to prove how much false it is, I'm going to close that window and reopen it. See, recording is enabled now. And if I say user area, before you got script disabled by whatever, and now you get an object. And that's it. Now you can use this window, run any script you want, and do all kinds of stuff, and it'll be fine. And as long as whatever automation you're using, the first thing you do is that mscript object. As long as you do that first, And after that, anything you do with that session, you can go ahead and just do your thing. So basically, with the connection, open up a new session, and then run this command, and now the session, you can do the script even though it's disabled the server, and that's that. And you get past a bunch of bureaucracy or corporate politics of trying to get somebody to enable it. Alright, now let's talk about how I got there. And then you can run scripts like this, for example. So let's say let's say I log out of this. And then I say nope. And then let's close this, connect again. And now I take this entire thing here. Now it probably won't work the first time because I believe user area is still going to be set to. Oh, it did work. Cool. All right, so see, so it was still disabled, but I was able to do this first. Once it said it's false, that all this stuff worked, and I logged in. That's it. The script works, and I could have done anything, right? You could have automated whatever you want. So I just want to show you that it works. Cool. So we'll stop right there, just to let you know, so you can get past that. We'll close this now. And the next thing we're going to talk about is these prompts. So we're going to jump right to this. Let's see. Actually, before I do this, let me show you this. So that if I run this here, let's see here. That's how I know what's here. So I see the application, right? And if I were to connect to a server, do that again. Now notice the difference between these windows. This one is in a context of a session. The other one was just I guess global new script, didn't say anything. But now if I run it here, see application connection session window. Those are all the variables that are in this place. But all of these things are really just children of this one. Just for example, application is this thing, application. Connection is just a child of application. Session is just a child of connection right here. You see that? And same thing, the window object is actually just, it'll be a child as a window, and user area is a child of it. So let's see if I can show you that real quick. So if I paste this, hold on. I do this and run it, and then I say user area ID. See that? It's this. See that? The user area. And if I say window ID, see that? And session. See that? And connection. ID. See that? And application ID. So I'm showing you this because the only thing that's important about this window is this object. If you can get the application object, you can get every other object. Everything else about this UI is all a descendant of this object. This is the root. So you just need this thing. Okay. So let's talk about these options here. We'll close this window. What options is this coming from? So this login window here, this thing here, which has more info. You can see a bunch of Java classes being loaded and all that good stuff. We're going to talk about that, because that's how we're going to get. We're going to get the Jython class and other classes in here. But we're going to close this window, and I'm going to show you exactly what we're talking about right now. We're going to go to, and I know it because of this. So this when I start the SAP GUI, it's this right here. And it comes to this bin, and when you install it locally, you probably have this, at least on a Linux machine. I don't know about Windows. Everything I'm talking about is Linux. I'm sure there's a way to get it to work on Windows, but who knows. So you see at the bottom, all this stuff here, is a bunch of script, whatever, but the bottom is the important part. That's the command that really runs everything. So we're going to change to echo real quick. And they're going to say, let's run it. Alright, actually let's do this. Let's run it. So I change it to echo so I can see what the command is. So now we know that the command is this. Let's copy it. Let's keep that in our notepad down here. Or actually right here. Okay? And so now we know what the command is, and then we're going to change it back because we don't want to really break this scripting. We want the login one to actually work. So we'll change it back. But now we know what the command is that it runs to do stuff. So here, I can do this. Show you. Right, and look at that. So the GUI comes up, and here we are. Just waiting for a little bit, waiting for it to start. There we go. And here it is. So the window's here, the scripting thing is here, and it's working. Everything's fine. One of the things to talk about here now that we've done this is I'll leave this up to you to read about the JavaScript engine manager, how this works, and JSR223 stuff. There's a couple of things that go on with this, but we won't get into it right now. But just go ahead and research this as much as you want. The bottom line is that's why this scripting engine is available at all. So when I say this, so I say get all the engine factories. Nashorn. Nashorn is a JavaScript implementation on the Java virtual machine, which is why you can do this, why I can type stuff like this. Like I say var R for an array, because it returns an array of only one element right now. And see that, and I have this variable. So now if I remove all this and say ARR, it's just that array. Yep. So yeah, and this whole JavaScript, it works because of that. But I don't want to do it in JavaScript. I want to use Jython or JRuby or something. So we're gonna shut this down, and let's see, we're gonna shut this down here. Okay, so we closed it. Now we're gonna do one thing. We're gonna change the command to do this. We're gonna add one more thing to this class path, which is lib escape the asterisk, which means all the jars in this folder. I don't think it's recursive though, so it's at the top level of this lib folder. So let's show you what's in the lib folder. Let me see if I have a folder open to that. Not right now. I guess I'll put it over. Let's see here. Another click here. So there we go. I've opened a directory, and you can see now what's in here. JRuby's here, Jython's here, and SAPGUI's here. And this thing is just a compiled shared library for the C++ layer that actually makes this communication possible with Java connection to the SAP server. So, but this is what we did. So now when we run this command, so I can close it. Okay. So now that I've showed you that, when I run this command, we're going to show you the difference. We're going to start this thing up. Takes a little bit of time. Let's see here. We're waiting for it to start. Okay. So remember earlier I showed you the Java classes that are loaded here. So I'm gonna scroll down. So all the same things loading, but look at these three here. So this is telling you now that in addition to all the other stuff that SAP client normally runs to do its job, we've also added SAP Java connector, so we can do Java connector stuff, JRuby and Jython. So they're now part of this system. So remember this command that we ran earlier to get the factories that had only one element in the array? Watch what happens if we do it now. See that? So this is the Nashorn, that's the JavaScript one, but look at what's also here. JRuby one and the Python one. Now they're both here. You see where we're going with this? So now I can do something like this. Get engine by name. Let's say JRuby first. And run it. And look at that. You got the JRuby engine instance. And we can also say Jython. And run it. And we got... Uh-oh. What happened? We got nothing. Huh. Why is that? I don't see any error here in the console right now. I don't know what's going on, but I tell you what, we're gonna do this. JRuby, get that JRuby engine again, and then inside of JRuby, we're gonna write JRuby code to try and get an instance of the Jython. Script engine manager new get engine by name Jython. There we go. So we're gonna run this, and let's see what happens. So let's see, it's sent, and I don't see anything. There's no receive came back. I do see a bunch of stuff that I printed back here, and this is the most particular thing. Now, I don't know, so it looks like I don't know if we didn't get an error before, but when we tell JRuby to do it, we get an error here telling us that I guess this is what it takes for, I guess Jython, unlike JRuby, apparently Jython needs to be able to read this property to figure out how to start, and because it can't read it, it can't create the Jython engine, I guess. How do you deal with Java security stuff? I have no idea. So we're going to close this engine down again, and I'm going to show you something else. This command here, this one here, is we're going to change this Java security model. Now I'm sure if you want to, you can go read about Java security. Where is it? Yeah, you can go read about Java security policy and try and figure out exactly what's going on here. To give exactly only this permission, but I'm not interested in doing that. I trust that this Java code, I want to trust everything that when I'm running code as this user on my system, like I'm right now in the user Pikachu. So I'm going to open up the Java process to just do whatever this user can do and don't worry about anything else, basically shutting down the Java policy. So let me cat the policy file I have. This basically says grant everything. This just says all Java code, all JavaScript code, everything that this process does, just open it all up. So that basically means any code, any script that this thing writes, anything can do everything that this user can do in this group and everything, and you're just relying on the Linux or Unix permissions to keep things in check. And you have to make your own judgment call if this is the right thing to do. If all the scripts you'll be running are trustworthy. I'm making that call that it's all trustworthy, and so if anything happens, it's on me, and if anything happens when you're doing this, it's on you. You gotta understand that. So anyways, we're gonna go up and run this command. We're gonna add that file there. We're gonna tell it to use that security file, which is essentially disable Java security, because it's basically grant everything to everybody is basically what this does. So you can feel free to go try and read about it yourself. But I tried to read about it, I got tired of it, and I decided I'm just gonna turn off. I'm gonna give all the security to everything. Everybody gets all permissions, and I just have to rely on the Unix level permission level that I make sure that this ID does not have the power to do anything I don't want it to do. So anyways, now that we've started this over again, if I do this, so we'll take this, and I go like this, get engine by name, Jython. This time it will work. So we'll run it. Take some time. It's doing its things, taking its time. You haven't seen received yet. It's coming. It takes a while. There it is. See that? And now it works. And now you can get a Python engine. So there we go. Now that we know that, now that we know this works, here's the next step. The next step in our process here is this. We're going to get an engine, and we're going to run some code. And this code to interact is a programmatic way to start the Java prompt, or the Python Jython prompt, I guess. So if you do this now, and keep an eye on this command line. See that? That was a prompt here. So print 1. See that? Print 2. So now I have a Python prompt, and that's awesome. But if I type this, now you're not seeing any errors because the standard out and standard error and standard in, those things are kind of messed up when this maybe this SAP GUI thing is doing some kind of log capture somewhere. It's changed how the standard out, standard error streams are working. Who knows? But that's basically what's happening. That's why you don't see the errors. So we're gonna just go ahead and exit this, and let's see here. All right, we're gonna exit that, and then we're going to run it again. Or actually, we have to close this whole thing down. We're gonna do it again with this. This is something that helps. Makes the Python engine use the internal Java, I don't know, J-line. It's internal readline logic. You can read about readline in Linux to make sure this stuff works. So we're going to do that, and that doesn't look like the right command. Paste action. Let's see. So we're going to close this again. That doesn't look right. Oh, okay. I don't know why it didn't look right, but whatever. So we started again. So let's see here. Waiting for the first start. See, it even printed Java policy and all that stuff, and that's how. So we're gonna go here again. We're gonna paste that same thing. Oh, that's not it. We're gonna paste that same thing. Nope. So let's go back down here and get it. And back to this window. We're gonna paste it. We're gonna run it. It's gonna take some time. This generating this Python engine, it takes a little bit of time, as you saw before. It takes a little time to get that one, but once you get it, we'll get all this code going, and you'll get a prompt down here. So look at that, we got a prompt. So I'm typing, but nothing's showing up. And enter key is what's happening. This doesn't work. This is not what I ruled. Oh no. So we're gonna close this again. This is still not working. Actually, I didn't need to close it. So we'll just bring it back. The reason, actually, let me stay here. Wait for this window to show up. The reason for this, anyway, is that whatever the changes to the standard out, standard error streams are happening, we don't know what they are, but we're going to change it back. In the world of Python, even though you can change standard in, standard out, standard error, you are guaranteed that sys modules underscore versions of standard in, standard out, standard error. Those are always the original, untampered with versions of those streams. So you can always count on it, and that is really helpful in this case. So what's going to happen is, we don't know whatever the Java did, whatever this SAP GUI thing did to those streams. We're going to make copies of it, change it back to the original one, and then start the code interaction thing. So let's see. Let's see here. So now we're going to go to this thing, like this. Alright, we're going to hit run. And it's going. Here we go, here we go, here we go. And you know, as again, it takes time to get this engine going, but you'll see how much better this prompt looks like this time. Now you can already see this prompt looks better in the fact that you got the banner here. The banner's right here. Type print 1, type print 2, type 3. Also, the up arrow now works. It wouldn't have worked before. I could even say Control R for reverse search, and that works. I can type this. You get errors. Everything's working, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Now everything's working, and that's great. But there's one thing that we still don't have here. So let me get rid of this code. We can get rid of all this. The one thing that we don't have, the one thing that really makes all this stuff important, let me put this out real quick, is application, right? So let me first control in that and do this. So this object application, if I type, let's do this, let's put this back again. Right. So if I type application here, it doesn't work. Well, it turns out that this eval thing, which is something you'll read about, which is something you can read about here as you take a look at how this stuff works. The script engine, right? Gets engine by name like this. It takes a binding object, so I can do this. Let me show you. I can say I want an object called SAP app, and I want that object to be the same object that is here called application. See that? So we're gonna stop this, and we're gonna start it again. Started, and now it looks the same, except that you see that SAP. So when I type this, look at that. So now it's here, and it has an ID, and I can do this. And this is the most important part, because I don't know how to get all the objects that are on a in JavaScript. Bro, I don't know how to do this. Earlier, you saw me do this, right? Let's paste this, and let's see. Oh yeah, you're not gonna see it right now. Okay, and you see that? You can see all the stuff that's there. If I do that with, say, for example, application, it's not gonna work. You just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what this is. Is not an object. I don't know. So I don't know how you get objects in JavaScript world. So instead, it's easier to just do it in Python. That's all. That's pretty much all I'm trying to get to. I don't know how you get it to work otherwise. So I just do it like this. and I can say dir SAP app, you can get to it, and it turns out from lots of searching, I've been spending weeks on this, if I do that, there's even more stuff. Let's close that split window. So now there's even more stuff. You see all that stuff, and you can just sit there and experiment and see what all these things do. And I don't know, just you have to have fun with it. And so get utils, what's that? Some other object, who knows? Let's get utils, what's in there? So if I say, what do? I get some kind of util things. What happens if I do say dir on that utils thing? There's some other stuff, and I don't know. What's all this stuff? So one of these util stuff looks like a message box. So maybe I can use it to send out message boxes, and it turns out that's actually what you can do. To show a message thing, you can totally do that. So let's actually do it, because why not? Let's see. So let's just say utils equal. And I say utils dot show message, and say utils dot message OK, I guess. I think it's some kind of constant. Say hello world. So how about that? There's no object. Show message. Oh, message box. So let's say I say box. Expect 4 args. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Let's say. Oh, okay. Maybe it's title. My title. Hello world. 1, 2, 3. Hey, I don't know. Let's see if this works. First arg cannot be close to string. Okay. Let's see. My other title. I don't know. Third arg. Oh, okay. So I bet what's supposed to happen is that this is probably integer. So it's probably like this. See how I'm just showing you how I guess it. Third arg, second arg cannot be converted to string. Oh, okay. Second arg cannot be converted. Okay, so this third arg cannot be converted. Oh, okay. So let's see. Another. I don't know what these args are yet. Title, and the third one, so it must be that number. So let's do that. See what happens. Fourth arg. Okay. Let's do this again then. Alright, so look at that. So my other title, so see, it did something. The fact this is yes and no makes me think, let's see, maybe this one is a 2, another title, let's see, I wonder, 1, I wonder what that number is there for. Who knows? Okay, but yeah, you see, just by experimentation, you can just figure out how these methods work. So we're gonna stop right there. The only problem with this, though, is I don't like just this. What if I have some JavaScript that I want to run? Because I have some JavaScript libraries that I like to run. So instead of doing it this way, we'll stop this, and we'll change this to SAPJS. Because it's not any, we're just going to say this. We're going to send the entire this thing over here. Run it. And now when I type SAPJS, you get everything. SAPJS.keys. So you can see everything, but you know what I don't like? I still don't like this. I don't like seeing the code or the objects that I use to create this prompt to begin with. So I'm still not a fan of this strategy. So what instead I'm going to do is I'm going to Control D to get out of this. I'm going to do it again. Like this, an empty object. Just an empty object. And send it across. SAPJS. See it? So you see nothing. Keys, nothing. But the important thing about this, you think, well, how's this going to help me? The important thing about this is by doing this, I get that method. And I can say SAPJS eval application and get it. And as I've already shown you, as soon as you can do this, as soon as you can get that application object, you can do anything. Everything is a parent, or everything is a child of this object. So once you have this, you can write all the code you want in Python. You probably see where this is going now. You're in Python, you have the application object for this window. You can do all the connection stuff you want, and just do everything. And you're probably thinking, how do you connect to one of these servers? And let's see here. I'm pretty sure that object is here somewhere. Don't see it right now though. But probably in here somewhere there is a create connection. So you're looking at it now. I don't see anything in particular. But let's say I do this again with mScript object. Okay, and now we say dir that. You get a lot more stuff. And let's see. One of the things you get in particular is something like this. Right, this create a connection stuff. So it'll let you create a connection. Right, open a connection by string. See that? So let's say, for example, I wanted to open a connection by string. Let's really do it. So let's do that. And this is how see. I just sit here and look at it and experiment. And this thing's connection by string. What kind of string should I put here? Well, guess what? Guess what kind of string you should put here? It turns out you should put this string, as it turns out, right here. So I'm going to just copy the whole string. I'm going to paste it right here. And let's see what happens. Look at that. See that? And ta-da! We're connected to the server. And that's it. And we can do cool stuff. And that's where we stop. Also, another thing that we can do here in SAP, I can say eval and do stuff like this. Load SAP searcher. JS. Okay. And now I have let's see, we'll call this searcher equal SAPJS eval SAP searcher. Okay. Searcher. So now I have this object, and it has members, find element and find elements, and it can do some searching stuff. SAPJS eval. We're going to do another bit of code that we need to do now that we've created this connection, right? We've connected to this place. We remember scripting is still disabled, so we're going to do this. We're going to take this now, and before doing anything else, okay. So now that we've done that, now we can script against that connection that we made. All right. Let's see what else we need to do. So now I can do stuff like this. SAP. So that searcher object, searcher dot call member. That's what it is. And you say find element. Now you can say by ID. Now you can say this. And we say $. This takes regular expression, so I can do this. And it'll search the UI, and da-da, so you found it. And this one is the label. The label for, let's see, I believe, probably, I think, I'm not sure. Maybe I think the client. And there you go. We can say password. Let me see. What is it called? Password. Oh, PWD. PWD. And we can just say PWDR, and just say find that. And look at that. They found it. See that? And that's how the searcher thing. And this is a pretty convenient object to use. I like using this. You can say find elements, and you'll find if there's more than one that matches it, you'll find them. So I can do stuff like let's see, this, or actually not like that. This. Okay, it only found one. You see how this thing is? It's actually it's not an integer, it's a string. So to get at it, you have to do this instead of an integer. And I have a helper to deal with all these kind of issues to make this thing smoother. So let's see. What else do we need to do here to show you this? So I'm going to say import sys.path.append.forward py stuff. Okay, and now also I have to unset searcher SAP. What is that thing called? SAP searcher equal undefined. I have to unset it for what I'm about to do. I'm now going to say import SAP driver, which is the helper I've written, and then I'm going to say SAP driver equal SAP driver SAPJS, and it takes up object and it sets everything up. So now in here I can say dir SAP driver, and I can say SAP driver.find element by ID pwd. See, and it'll find it, and it's easier to write, and that works because of, now it's time to get into helper code. So let's see, what window are we in? We opened up, we still have that browser window open? No, not right now. So we're going to open that browser window up again. Here, alright, and here we are, so the browser window's open. Going in here, and let's see, here's that code. So we're going to talk about some of this helper stuff. What we just did is bring this thing in, and this opens up a bunch of helper files that I've written that let me do some cool stuff. See that? See what's going? And it has that, and that searcher. Let me show you what that is, so you can also use it. This is the code for the searcher, and if you give it that searcher, if they say, when I said by ID, you can give it a function name, like maybe one of the objects has a get something, and it'll get that and do a string and find it that way. So that's kind of helpful. So here we go. Has all that. That's that for that. So let's move a little bit forward here. Back to our prompt here. So now, and we've enabled. How long is this video? 35 minutes. All right, not too bad. So now that we've enabled, exit this. Now we've enabled scripting. We can do. Oh yeah, here's something like this. Pretty helpful. V keys. Oh no, SAP driver. V keys. And you can see the different keys. That's also in that SAP driver code here. When you have a session, it'll find the session, and it turns out this is how the session deals with all the virtual keys. So when you say, when you saw in here the fact that this 0 is enter, when you enter a username, password, and you press the enter key, that 0 is enter because of this stuff here. Where is enter? So you get all the virtual keys, and if I say enter, the value of that key is 0, and you see all of them. You can see what's happening. It's pretty clear. So you just look at that, and you're all set. What else do we want to do here? You saw me bring up. Go to our tutorial. Where are we? So let's see. We've talked about. I actually didn't show you these options and how this works yet. So we'll get there in a second. But other than that, I've showed you the console. We started the process. You see the SAP binding. I explained it by just doing it. How this was found is the fact that I'm in the Python prompt, and the dir command works very well for seeing what all the elements and all the methods and all the fields an object has, and I can just search forever, unrestricted, and just look for everything. Wrapped and unwrapped is basically when an object is unwrapped, it's the M script object version of it. That's the one that has all the methods on it. That's the difference. So just if you see M script object, look at that one, it has all the methods. Every once in a while though, a method disappears when it's the M script object. If you tell an object to unwrap itself, I think most objects have a unwrap. So let's see, for example, find element ID ses. You get that. So if I say let me do this equal and dir ses, and it has an unwrap, and if you say ses.unwrap ses, you'll get the object that is pretty much the same thing as that M script object thing, and you can wrap it back, and you'd use so now there's unwrap, you'd use application SAPJS eval application dot wrap, and you'd wrap the unwrapped thing back, and you'd get back to the original object. So yeah, and that's all. And there's more methods usually on the M script object version, which is also the unwrapped version. I showed you how I loaded the SAP helper in there, and the SAP driver does a lot about that for all these different helpers. I'm going to now show you the SAP tree thing. So let's go ahead and log in. So let's see, log in is like this. So I can say find by ID. So let's do that login from here. SAP driver.find element ID. This thing here. Right. So here we go, and it works. So let's bring up this window and bring up this console. them so you can see both of them together. .text equal developer. Look at that, it changed, right? See that? It changed. And we're going to do it again. SAP by ID, this thing here, appliance. And without that. And see that? It changed it. So that's the password. And now SAP driver dot send v key. See that? And the way that method works, you can see the 0. I don't find these numbers very legible or to look at a code later on. So the send v key thing, if you send it a string type, it'll look up the string key in the table and send the number. Otherwise, it'll just send the number. So instead of putting 0, I can put enter, and it'll do it. And if you go over here, you'll see. You see part of the window. Watch, it's going to change. See you already see the cursor being busy. You see loading data down there, and you're going to see in a second, ta-da, and it logged in. See, and it logged in, and you did it all through Python. See, I use this find element thing to find it. And see how this looks very much like Selenium, which is something that I've done a lot of writing browser automation with Selenium tests. And Selenium, the connection with the browser is always called driver. That's how I came up with the name. Just saying, well, we'll just call it SAP driver. This Facebook thing has, I don't know what's going on, but something in this web view here, somehow, maybe it's this thing, maybe it's that, I don't know, something here communicates with Facebook, creating this huge thing. I don't know what's going on. So, but yeah, you see what happened here, and you see how this test looks it's very easy to read this test. This is code that's very easy to read. It's Python, it's friendly, you're in this, essentially you're in this IDE thing here where you can just sit here and test your code and make sure it works before you commit it to a file or whatever. And I can easily sit here and write very Selenium-like code. Find element like this, find element like this, and it's a regular expression. I could have said you could put $signs at the end of these things. Now we're in this window, and another helper that you probably have noticed was here was tree inspector. So we can find that tree, and we're going to do it like this. We're going to say SAP driver. I happen to know that these tree things here are called trees. They're called SAP trees. So I will show you. SAP driver dot find element, and you're going to save object. Anything that has the word tree in it somewhere. Regular expression. SAP driver. There we are. So SAP tree equal underscore SAP tree dot ID. So that is the, and then use some shell object, and SAP tree dot object. Oh, that doesn't have. Oh, right, because ooh, that doesn't have. That's a good question. Let's see. Oh, because it's wrapped. So end script object. There we go. So you can see what kind of object it is and see the dimensions and some other stuff like that. So that's great. But one of the things that's hard to automate is clicking on these trees, or clicking on items, or figuring out what's in these things. So we're going to write a program. We have a helper called SAP Tree Inspector that takes care of that. And let's load up SAP Tree Inspector. Let's see, where is that? Here we are. So you can see it. You'll have to type it yourself later on. In the same window. So there you go. That's a tree inspector. So you have to type this code up, pause the video at this point, and just type this all up manually. And you'll have the tree inspector code, and you can use it the same way I'm using it. And so let's go ahead and do it. So SAP driver dot inspect tree SAP tree. And we'll say T data for tree data. And here we go. Now you see the trees being expanded here on the side. See this bar getting smaller and smaller. This is one of the biggest, I guess, trees here. It's going through every folder, expanding them, looking at every tree, examining, getting data for it. And it's going to return to you a structure that contains all the information about this tree, so you can do other things and collect on certain things. So let's let that run. And pretty soon it's going to finish. See here, waiting for that prompt to come back. There we go. So now T data. So there are two things. The tree structure has all these same trees in the same hierarchy as here. So I can say T data tree struct, and the first one is favo, and root object is some object. So favo's there's two root objects. So if I collapse everything, let me show you what I mean. Favo and root object. These are the two, right? With everything collapsed. So those are the two parents. After that, things expand and into more. You see what's happening? So if I go into, say, tree struct and I say favo, you will get, see, text favorites. Let's see here. Text favorites, parent key invisible, and its folder true. So yeah. So and children object. So in here in this favo, you'll get children. Let's show you what that is. You see it in this 1, 2, 3, and guess what those 3 are? If I reference them. So let's show you. Like this 2. Right, launchpad. Right, makes sense. You see what's happening? So, but let's say you don't want to deal with that one. We have that search thing also creates a flat structure, which is everything that's in the tree without the hierarchy logic. It's just everything like this. So you can say keys, they're all here, and let's see. So one of the keys, without me scrolling up, I already know one of the keys. Let's see, 0, maybe like 4. Is text workplace. It's one of the keys that are in there, and its parent folder is 3, and it's probably going to be this office thing. So let's go ahead and take a look. Yep, see, office. So, and 4. And the important thing about this is that I have this key, this 00004 key, and now with that I can say SAP tree. One of the things in here, by looking around a lot, is looking for it. Hold on. Right here. I don't know about item, but double click node. So if I say SAP tree dot double click node, and guess what I should give it? I'm going to give it the workplace key. Like this. Ta-da! And look at the bottom. Look at my, see? It clicked on it, and it worked. See? Ta-da! So SAP. So we're going to do SAP tree. Okay, we're going to do this. SAP tree. We're going to find another tree, and this tree we're finding is now this one because this is another kind of tree. And we're going to do that inspect thing again. Inspect. And see, it's expanding that one, getting all the data. And T data again, keys. This one's a little trickier though, because the keys in this one have leading spaces, which makes it very annoying to type. So look at this. Oops, that's not what I meant. See that? Leading spaces. So it's hard to deal with this with the leading spaces here. So when I say flat structure, I have to do this to get that. You see that? It's awkward, but there you go. Unread documents, and now you can read what this is. And now I just clicked on it. Now let's click on this. See, it's document again. Unread document. So let's click on this again. Document, and then we're gonna switch to unread document by saying SAP tree dot double click node, right? Double click node, and we're gonna put that leading space thing that's very strange. And oh, it did not work. Look at that. So let's see. Let's try double click item. Oh, that didn't work. Let's see. Let's put a 1 here. See what happens. It's a string. All right. Let's try this. String here. Okay. Let's try empty string. Anything happen? No. Let's see here. So we're not able to get it to move. So who knows? I guess we have to experiment with this one a little bit more. What it takes to make this move over. What can we do about that? SAP tree dot. So okay. I have select node as a thing. Select node. So let's try that. Let's try select node, because why not? So we're going to highlight all this. We say select node. Oh, look at that. That worked. Okay, so let's click on this, move it back, and then let's say select node again. Ah, so select node worked. Okay, cool. So see, you have to just mess around with this stuff. Okay, so we've shown you a bunch of how the helpers work, show you how SAP tree work. I show you SAP searcher. I've been using that. I showed you how this SAP tree thing works. What else is that? This class load. The SAP Java connector I'm going to show you after all this. And session thing is about, sometimes session can get locked for some reason. This particularly happens because those events we're sending, like select node and double click things, depending on how you write your script, you can send an event to, you can end up sending an event to an object that's not actually on the screen, because you can still find it. For example, I can say, I can send an event to say click on this thing, office settings, in this drop down. However, I can send it even when the drop down is not on the screen, like right now. So if you find the element and then say try and click on this, but you didn't click on this first to make it show up, and then say click on this, it'll try and do it. And usually when you do stuff like that, this window will just get all locked up, and you just can't get out of it. It just gets busy and stuck forever. And to deal with that kind of issue is what this script is around for. And this script will wait by the default as 2 minutes. If a session gets stuck and is not returning in time, it'll just kill the session and make a new one. You can use this if you want to, but that's what this does. And let's see, you'll see that in the, let's see where we are now. Let me see. So we've talked about most of the stuff. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna run the unit test. Java. We're gonna run the unit test stuff now. So run test. Oh yeah, I haven't shown you that command though yet. So let's get out of this. Let's close all this stuff. Yes. We're gonna close this. And any more windows open? Yep. I need to close this. Okay, and now we got our property back. So I'm gonna show you what I mean by those options. So I'm gonna say, see this? I said talk about this. So we're gonna get there right now. So you see that? These are the options you can give this program, as it turns out. And the most important one is this one. So we can put JavaScript in a file and it's going to run it. So, and the N don't show the login window, I guess. And the O, what's the O do? Open a connection. Okay, if I wanted to open a connection directly, but like see, like, and this is where I got the open connection example. See that? It doesn't matter. We're just gonna. This is the most important one. We're gonna do this. So here we go. We're gonna now just do the full command, which is the following: ex. All right, is this it? That's the Ruby one. We're not doing the Ruby one yet. Okay, we're doing this one. So let me make this window a little bigger. So this is the Jython path. Remember how I did SAP path append to this thing so I can import SAP driver? We don't need to do that if you set it up like this. Add this Jython path at the beginning. I guess I don't know if you need this or not, but it's there. Let's see. Security, you know what that's about, so the Jython engine will start properly. And this script file and this, you don't know what that is yet. And this command line and this B thing, no progress bar. I don't know what that's about. We're gonna remove it because I don't know what it's there for or what it does. What's the point? So let's just remove it. Well, let me press enter here and then Control C again because I just want this line to be clean. So all right, and now what you really need to do is see is what that does. So let's go in here. Let's show you what that file is about. Where is it? Right here. Oh, I want it to open the same window. So see that? So it does print and all kinds of stuff like that, and it'll read those properties, the file, right? This is the external script file, right here. You see run test, and you see the external engine, Jython. So it's going to take that and the file, and it's going to take that and the engine. Now we're going to read that file in, whatever data is in there. We're going to read the entire thing in as a new script, right? Read all the bytes and then make it a script. And also the engine, we're going to get it by the name that was there. and if they couldn't get the engine to some problem, it should just throw an error, and this thing will catch it, and I'll talk about why this is on error. Otherwise, it'll take whatever engine it was. Could have been Ruby, could have been JRuby, could have been JPython. But we're going to take it and we're going to run it and create a new object, which is the same thing as when you saw me do this. They're both the same thing. This and this are the same. So it'll create this new object, and then the script will run, and if it runs okay, exit 0 and end the entire process. Otherwise, exit 1 of those are problem. And you're probably wondering why this works at all, and I'm going to show you before we start running the script. So we're going to start this one more time, and you're going to see real quick. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Alright. And I know that because when you right click on this, you see this, all that cool stuff. So right click on error. This function is called there's any kind of error executing the script. That's why it's there. And that's why I know this works, because whoever made this script on SAP who made this thing, that's how it works. And then you have this other stuff too that's pretty cool. And on hit, right? You know, whatever you think you need on session create. And actually, this on session create, what you could do is so on session create. Let me think about this real quick. What you could do if you wanted to, I think. I'm going to try this out real quick. I actually don't know if this is going to work. So I just showed you this script, right? There's a chance you can go ahead and give this a try, but maybe to make things even easier on yourself. Let's see, where's that window thing? Say on, where's it on session create? Right. So there's a chance. There's a pretty good chance this is going to work actually, because right, anytime you is that true? So is there a session when let me test that. So I connect, I log in on session create, right? Okay, so this is the session, right? Okay, there's a chance that as soon as I log in here, maybe it would be good to just do this, right? I don't actually know for a fact this is work. It would probably work though. I'm pretty sure this would work. You probably should just do this. You should probably just have your script like this. So now you don't even have to run it yourself. Every time a session is created, it'll just set it by false automatically, and then the rest of your code will just work. This is probably the right way to do it, but whatever. So you can go ahead and experiment with that. I'm pretty sure that would work though. And meanwhile, you're probably wondering, well, when it's disabled, who's going to take care of that? And that's the code I have not shown you yet. These run tests, let's go to that directory now. This run test, it's going to create the object, right, like you saw me do, and it's going to import a base class. And I'm going to show you what that base class is. We're going to import this class, and we're going to set the base class driver to this, and we're taking advantage of the fact that Python only imports a module once. So once I've imported it, any other, let me see, what was I going to do? Let me bring up that folder again. So now, okay, this will be good. So now, any test that it inherits from base class, they automatically will get self driver because it's here. And in run test, before I even ran the test in all directory, no matter 10 tests, 100, 1,000 tests, whatever number of tests are in this directory, as long as all of them inherit from this base class, and that base class inherits from unit test test case, and I imported it here, right? I imported it here first. It will not get imported again for the entire life of the Python process, or in this case JVM. It doesn't get imported twice. So I've imported it here. I've already set up the SAP driver on it. So now every test that I run will have access to self.sap driver, and you can do all that stuff, and thus everything else, and you can find elements and run all the tests, and everything will work, and it works great. And that's how that works. And you can see here, one of the first things I do when I create a connection, it turns out this thing actually returns connect option directly to you. So in my setup, the first thing I do is create a connection, and I set it to false here. Chances are I can remove it from here and instead of doing it here, I can probably do it here with that on session create thing. In fact, I'm gonna try it because I'm pretty sure it's work on. So what was it? Let's do that again. I'm so curious that this will work. I nearly need to know. So we're just gonna go here and do this. Okay. I am pretty sure that let's see here. I am pretty sure that if I do this, where's my tutorial? Here we are. Let me see. First, let's see how long this video's gone. 59 minutes. All right, we're cool. We're at an hour. Good. So I'm about to finish this whole thing up. So we're gonna go to external script. I am pretty sure if I do this, it'll work. So let's go back to what's that thing? Base. We're gonna comment this out like so. So now that means it's not even running. So this commented out, and let's go to this folder. And make sure we get rid of these class ones because we don't want any confusion. Did it work? Did it not work? So we're getting rid of SAP class. We're getting rid of the class files. Okay. And now that we cleaned it up, we've commented this out. I think that with let's see, this one right here. I think with this set, it'll do it for us all the time, and we'll be fine, and it'll keep things good. So let's try it. Let's try this right now. Okay. We're gonna run that entire command that's down here. Close this. Okay. And here we go. So we're gonna run those tests. Talk about all these command lines. You see all the stuff. So here we go. We're running it. Running. Start. Let's see here. Okay, taking its time. Now remember, it takes a while for the Jython engine to be created, so that's what it's doing now. But once we get it, hopefully that on session create kicks in and sets the. So here we go. Create a session. Hopefully we changed it. Let's see, did it work? Nope, it does not look like it worked. What happened? I'm gonna type this match. Let's see. Nope. That did not work, I guess. So let's see. Well, part of it works. I was able to change developer. Let's do SAP. SAP searcher 2. Let me verify something real quick. Okay. All right. So that didn't work. I thought it might have something to do with that. Maybe I removed this part of the code, but that's not it. So that didn't work. There was some kind of a variable problem. Chances are, I bet. Well, I don't know. Let me go here. This probably would have worked if I changed this to set text. I'm pretty sure it will work, but we'll have some other problem. So I don't want to get into that. So instead, I guess we'll just go back to the way it was. So let's just do this. That's too bad though. I was really hoping that this was gonna work. Oh well, I guess not. So here we go. Save this, and we'll go back to the way it was before. Change connection to false here, and let's run it again. So, and you saw those failures get printed out, right? Alright, so let's do it again. Okay, we're running. And let's see here. Okay, start it up. You know, we're getting all that stuff into memory, getting everything going. Jython engine starting. One of the things the Jython engine does, you saw, is start the connection. So there we are. The connection is started. Then we take the connection we set disabled by server to false, and then we try to run the script, and hopefully this time, there we go. So it's working now. Okay, so we can just rely on that way of doing it. So there you go. The script is going. It's automating the test. It's going to audit manager. I never actually finished this test. I only got enough to get to this transaction and like type a string in one field, I think, and then just leave. I don't actually save this object. So there you go. It's going. Let's see. It's still going. Still going. Okay, so it closed that. See, now it's faster. So it only takes time for the first time. Once all these modules have been loaded in memory once, things tend to go quicker. So here we are. We're creating an external person and using helpers and various experimentation I've been doing to do stuff. At the bottom, record created. You see that down there? That record created is verified in the test. I'll show you that. And now we come in here. And sometimes this window, when you try and set focus on something, it doesn't work. So I have code to retry and make sure things are on the right focus. So you see the red things around the box there. Let's try to go to background testing, and it worked the first time. This time, sometimes it doesn't, and I have to check again. And there you are. All right. So test passed. See, every once in a while you get an error about something about the GUI running or something, but it doesn't matter. The bottom line is this: that the exit code is 0, and you see the test. You see the unit test type output here for all the tests that ran, and that's it. And let's see. Let me go to. So we talked about the space case thing. It's the SAP enter, and it finds this regular expression. So it finds some session 0. That's what that says. A $sign is the end of it. You can read all about this. This is basically. In fact, I can just show you real quick. Do a SAP searcher. The important thing here of how this works is that match. So you can just read about JavaScript and match on how it deals with regular expressions, and that's what this is. That's how it decides if it finds an element or not. Anyways, so we have that, and I've now shown you how to run a test. You've seen SAP. Okay, you have not seen SAPjCO. So I need to show you that. I need to show you. What else I need to show you? You've seen how a test case is structured. You've seen. Let me close some of these windows because now it's getting confusing having multiple windows open. So we're gonna close this one. This one. Can I drag this onto here? Oh yeah, I can. So let's see. So I've shown you run test. In here, I also want to show you how the SAP helper is that let me do some of this. I just want to show it to you so you can copy it or type it for yourself. Set focus. This thing, some elements you can tell to set focus if that on that window where I was trying to get the background process, sometimes it misses. This variable here tends to be set to whatever has focus already. And if they're not equal, I try again and try again and try again. You can totally experiment with this and click around and see. It doesn't tend to work on the tree objects though. You can't really see into them. You have to ask the tree object itself. It usually has a method on what has focus or what is selected. You have to do that. And when you catch an exception, any exception, there are two kinds. There's Python's exceptions, and then if a null pointer exception is actually a descendant of java.lang.exception, so you have to catch both here, or null exception is what caused this to not work sometimes, and then this thing will not catch and will fail if you don't capture both the Java generic version as well as the Python generic version. Alright, so test audit, you've seen that. It doesn't really do much. It's in the wiki, and just give you an idea of how it works. What else was I going to do? SAP actions. This is what I said I assert for the record created. There it is. It asserts for it and makes sure it was there, and gives an error if otherwise not. That's how that test ran. The background thing, right? Get there and get grid. You'll see that there's some a lot of logic in making that work. See, when you find the grid on the screen, what elements at, what's everything. So this is actually pretty helpful. You can run this in a Jenkins environment and use the Linux command xfvb and create a virtual buffer and send this all there and do stuff like read. Where did the other tests go? Oh my gosh. Okay, go read the CMS alert fail jobs and report on it and do all kinds of stuff, and it's great. So there you go. That's about it. What have I not shown you? I've not shown you SAPjCO code. So let me bring that up in JavaScript. So first to show you that. So that's this. There you go. This is how the JavaScript code works. Go ahead and type this up, and you can use it in your own way. And let me go back to the beginning. So I've shown you helper, unit test code. I ran it. I showed you. I gotta show you running that code. So let's show you how that code works. In here, So here I import everything. I have the SAPjCO jar in my class path, so I can do these imports. Nashorn comes with standard in modern JDK or JRE or whatever. So you can import it, it'll work. You import, you get it, you load the, you evaluate it, and you load this code, you evaluate the code there, you read the string in, and you just get the object out, and you have the SAPjCO object, and you can call member create destination, and it'll do that. And the create destination is right here. Right? Let me drag this over. So JCO, and SAP. Let's drag this over as well. So this thing returns the destination which was created here, and all the stuff and all this logic. So it gets here, and then you can call it, and you have to use this when you create an XMI or XUB XMI session. You have to use this, the most important part, because you log in, and when you try and call this thing, it'll say, oh, you didn't log in, you need to log in first. And the important thing is the context. You have to keep this context going here, begin and end. So let's run this code. Let's do it real quick. And so now, with this same command, similar. And like this, no, not like that. So it's the same, yeah, same code, but like this, and then X, right, not stuff, X, and let's just run it. And let's go here, and let's go here, and you can watch the code run. All right, first thing it's gonna print out is this. So let's watch. See, there we go. Prints that out. You see what it's logging in with. So you know what we're gonna do. We're gonna run it. We're gonna run it again, but with developer. See, and it ran and found 17,000 or whatever. So it ran, and let's see. I'll print out some stuff. Print. Let's see. Print call. Okay. So let's do it again, but with developers thing. So it's doing its thing. It's gonna log in, create a session, and do all the stuff in external. You can see it all here. You can totally experiment with this. And so let it go. Drop select. Okay. All right. Well, it showed some stuff. Okay. So I guess the same number. And that's it. I've shown you now what I wanted to show you. Now, and one quick thing. I won't spend too much time on this one, but as all the stuff you just saw, I can do it in this. I can do with Ruby as well. So I'm going to run the same code with Ruby. All I'm going to do is make ex. Let's see, ex r control r. There you go. Ruby version. There we go. So we're doing the same thing. The only difference is you see the X file. The external script file is .rb here, you see that? .rb, and the engine, where's the engine? Engine is JRuby, and it's gonna run this file, and the same bindings, everything's gonna go the same way, right? The only thing that changes is the Ruby file in this. We're gonna get a Ruby prompt down here. Let's wait a little bit. 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 So there you go. Here's a Ruby prompt, and it's the same thing. So $SAPJS. It's the same thing, $SAPJS.eval application, and you get the object. See, and from here, just it's the same deal. I don't. Just like if you're a Ruby person, just like how you saw me do all stuff with Python, you can now do it in Ruby. The important thing is you got to this point. You have the application object here, and once you have it here, everything else falls into place. You can use, I guess, JRuby's RSpec or something, and make all this just work. So. Yeah, and the way I guess you would do that in JRuby's, you'd have to, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think Ruby has the same thing. This $, I think, is generally global, for one thing. So I'm pretty sure this will be accessible all over the place. But somehow you'll figure it out. If nothing else, you could probably, if you have a bunch of tests, you can probably dynamically call RSpec in a programmatic way or parallel tests, and use, since you're in JRuby, not just Ruby, you can probably use Java serialization object and serialize this to disk, and then have your RSpec test or something in the beginning of setup, read from disk and turn it back to an instance of the object and work from there. Hopefully that should totally work, something like that. Or this is just global and it's accessible all over the place in this entire process, who knows. Another way, and if none of that stuff I just said doesn't work, Java system properties is also a global to the entire JVM. So if you were to, I'll let you look into that, but Java lang system, right? Get properties, I think. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure. Let me see. Methods sort. Yeah. So this Java lang system get prop. This thing is global throughout the entire JVM. So if you put anything in here, let me see, where's the put method? If you put anything in here, especially the put could take any object. So you can say put SAPJS $SAPJS. So this thing to not get properties. So here it is. So this thing, this SAP thing, this get properties for Java is global for the entire JVM process. So if you can't do anything else I said, do this. And in any language, and you can even do this in Jython or Ruby or whatever. Put it in the properties, and now any test case or any other code you run, get this thing globally. And anywhere, it's always the same property, and you say get SAPJS. You can get the object back in your test code or anywhere else. It's global for the entire Java process, and that's it. I've talked about everything I need to talk about in this thing. The test. Okay, an hour 15 minutes, about where I wanted to be, and we are done. And happy scripting, and you've got all kinds of cool tricks you can now do and write all your code in languages that you like, with interactive prompts like this where you can sit here and inspect objects. And if you don't know the ID of anything ahead of time, the way you deal with that is, well, let's see, first let's go back to, let's say you don't actually know what the ID of something is. All you have to do is, so you first put this here to enable scripting, close this window, and bring it back. See, and record is there. So now you can just say, just hit record and type appliance. Okay, and you see, and now you can see the ID of things that you want. So you can go ahead and do whatever you need to do and figure out what objects are. And notice that this find ID is kind of relative. This only works because it's in user area. Yeah, otherwise, this thing has a much longer ID. So let's see. But yeah, there you have it. And you can just click around here and record and try and figure out what's going on. And let's see, hit stop to see if there's anything else it recorded. Okay, nothing else. That's it. But yeah, you can just generally click on things and try to get an idea of the IDs of objects and what's going on. And that's it. That's it. So you have a way of getting IDs. You can script it, have helpers, you can do whatever you want. That's it. I'm gonna stop right here. Happy scripting.